Hi, everyone. I want to welcome you to our second in the series of thought leadership conversations that NovusNorth will be hosting. My name is Mona Champaneri, and I'm the Chief Strategy Officer here at NovusNorth. NovusNorth is an experience-led provider of product design, development, and delivery services for the fintech and financial services industry. At NovusNorth, we believe that great digital experiences drive even greater outcomes. And today we'll be speaking with the co-founder and the chief storyteller of Storyhub, Andy Greenawalt. Andy's career spans the last 30 years building early stage companies on new business models. And today he's going to talk to us about enhancing digital product experiences with human-centered data and analytics. Hi, Andy.
How you doing, Mona?
Good.
Good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Do you want to take a minute and introduce yourself?
Absolutely. So my name is Andy Greenawalt, and I'm the co-founder and chief storyteller here at Storyhub. A lifelong student of really three things: technology, design, and humanity, in a broad sense, as a philosophy major. So Storyhub was really born out of the fact that there's so much data in the world, and so little of it is being used to really serve people. And so Storyhub looked at this problem, and our first tackle point is the customer experience realm, because as you know, all customers' problems are right now. So what we're doing is we're taking all of that data and turning it into a news feed so that operating executives have the information they need to make the decisions that they face and get more done. So my history has been one of being very early. Started a two-party marketplace in the 90s before the internet, and then early in SaaS. And so I think that this opportunity with bringing the data that's out there to the service of people is a critical next phase of the tech journey. So that's what we're all about here at Storyhub.
That's fantastic. We're so happy to have you be part of this thought leadership series. So maybe we get started on our conversation for today. Andy, I've heard you say many times human-centric, that Storyhub is human-centric. What does that mean for you? And what does that mean for Storyhub?
Sure. Great question. Well, it's really so obviously every business we have customers on one side and their experiences, and employees on the other side and their experiences. And increasingly we have these mechanisms called our businesses, which are all of the technology and the processes and different things that hold them together. So being human-centric is about honoring those two realities, because the customer's experience in a world where, it used to be that the stores around the corner were the stores that I would go to. Well, in e-commerce, every great competitor is a single click away. So understanding how to keep a focus on your customer's experience is the battleground that everyone fights. Well, to keep to keep your customers at the primary point of your thinking, your employees need to stay in that mode as well. So as we think about human centricity, it's about honoring the realities of someone's day. It's about giving them tools that don't make them, don't force them into different mental states that aggressively, and be able to keep the focus on the customer. I mean, we all, I think we've all had experiences with whether it's Starbucks or Disney or some of the greats, where you're just, as a customer, you realize like they're thinking about me, and whether they are really, or they have systems so good that they can pretend to, either way, I had a great experience. And so when we think about human centricity, it's about leveling up our technology, using all of the insights in the data to help us serve our customers better.
Yeah, I love that focus on the mental states of different individuals at different stages in their day-to-day work or customer experience, right?
Yeah.
So, Andy, you mentioned the cost of time and the cognitive load of employees on needing to shift their thinking. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah. So when you think about, any particular person's job, right? They have a certain sort of horizon, and when you're dealing with customer experience, the time horizon is right now. The time horizon is, the next 15 minutes, 2 hours, whatever. The commodity that is scarce is time. And so for an employee to have to go from, customer facing, empathizing, listening, doing all the things that we do with people, to then engaging with their systems, which can be very cumbersome and, last generation, 2 generations ago, however, it's a real burden that's being forced upon the employee to be shifting between modes. I mean, there's the brain science is very very clear on this, that it's an incredibly costly process, and there's actually research that indicates when one is being analytic, it actually suppresses empathy, and when one is empathetic, it suppresses analytics. So humans are meant to sort of, do one thing or the other, and so to deliver great customer experience, you have to be mindful as to, how you're pulling employees between different loads, because that will really affect how good a person they can be at that critical touch point.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially the pandemic's tested all of us, right? So
Yeah, yeah, so much, so much, so much.
and as a startup during the pandemic, I'm wondering how the pandemic impacted your human-centric thinking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It certainly, as we all went into into our houses and sequestered and realized how noisy our dogs are, and all the things, as a startup, it cut us off from a lot of contact that you typically get, but it also forced a reflection upon, how people work. And so one of the big things that we realized is this importance of cadence. The cadence of a week. What is your Monday morning kickoff and your Friday happy hour, and how do your months, begin and end, and how are your quarters and years? All of these different critical touch points, that let us as human beings understand where we are. It's kind of the "you are here" thing on a sign at the mall. And so that really, because on Storyhub, we had everything in a news feed. So what we're doing is we're looking at all the critical operational systems, running a very broad spectrum analytics, and surfacing the findings as stories. And so in the beginning, that was just a feed of stories. Imagine any feed of anything, and so that was a critical reflection that we had, was that understanding of cadence, to say, no, there are things that I need to know daily. And a daily thing is different than a weekly thing, is different than a monthly thing, a quarterly thing. And so really made us reflect on, like, old school periodicals, like there's the Daily News, and then there's the Sunday Times, and then, and these things are sort of superhuman primitives. And so I think the sequester and the breaking of all of our cycles in through COVID really helped our thinking clarify probably faster than it would have otherwise. So the pandemic was good in that front, but so looking forward to getting out amongst people again.
Yes, same here. So Andy, could you tell us a little bit about the types of clients that Storyhub has worked with, and maybe some
Sure.
examples of solutions that you've
Sure.
delivered?
Sure. So we work, our first market, that is our only market right now, is customer experience in e-commerce. And so what this means is everyone, really the direct to consumer brands were the ones that, because their relationship with their customers is fundamentally different, because they own everything from the customer relationship back through product production. So they have, an incredibly dense data problem, because they're hooking together what is often a dozen or more tools, to be able to do everything that they're doing. And a dozen or so tools are great, because each one is really, really good at its task, but it's super easy to lose the customers through the data. And so what Storyhub does is we operate as a smart layer that fits into that stack, and is analyzing, all of their data. And so a couple of super key simple examples. We provide a daily forecast for the CX leader because what a CX leader, as someone who's run customer experience, customer support operations, bad days can be really bad, and if you just know about the bad day a little bit earlier, it can be incredibly helpful to just get your head in the right place. Okay, we're gonna I'm gonna talk the team up. We're gonna bring in lunch. We're gonna do what we need to do. So we have a daily forecast, and so what we're doing is running data models from back on all of the inputs that affect the volume, that affect the volatility, and just letting them know: is it going to be a sunny day? Is it going to be cloudy? Is what's today going to be? Other things are things like customer rescue. And so this is a story that just identifies people who, maybe there's too many back and forths with an agent, maybe they've been waiting too long, maybe they're not responding for whatever reason. Like a bad experience is in process. And so what those stories do is they reach down through the data, they do all the analytics that they're doing all of the time, and just surface a list of customers that here are the customers, here's the pain, here is a direct link to their Zendesk ticket or whatever it might be. So super specific, down to the customer, has been waiting 6.5 hours and here it is, intervene. To things like early warning. So if a product, example that I use all the time is a somewhere in the supply chain, someone had changed the size of the small dress, and for a particular product line, and all of a sudden the small dress, instead of having size mentioned, 8% of the time, 8 to 10% was typical. All of a sudden it was like 37. And so that's a key indicator that a batch of dresses has a size characteristic that's very different. And so we surface stories like that, super actionable stories. And then things that are, again, on the different time scales, a customer, this month with customers. How many new customers did you have? Where did they come from? How much did they spend? How are they different from one another? How do men and women differ? How do different regionalities differ? Different product combinations. So we're providing those e-commerce companies with visibility, super tactical visibility out of their data. I liken to the fact that my iPhone, I'm sure Droid does it too, tells me when my car is parked. It's not an incredibly difficult data problem, but it's really helpful. And so Storyhub is serving those customers, and again, our intent is that by serving them the information that they need out of their data, they can keep their customers front and center of their minds, and therefore provide a materially better customer experience overall.
Yeah, it's always about the customer. A friend of mine said the other day, the customer is not a piece of the puzzle, they are the puzzle. So,
oh yeah. Well, when you think about any tool, right? A tool is either helpful for people to do something, or it is not helpful for people to do something. And so, customers are engaged with our businesses because they have some need, and we are either focused on serving their need, and therefore they are happy and they keep doing business, or we fall short. And oftentimes, if we prioritize our internal processes, our internal needs, our all the different piece parts that any scaling business will experience, and then lose the customer focus, that leaves a window wide open for someone else with more customer centricity.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hey Andy, I really appreciate you joining and supporting NovusNorth, and we really appreciate you taking your time to be with us today and educating us on how to advance data and analytics with the knowledge of the customer. And we're looking forward to seeing what Storyhub does in the future. We'll definitely be following you and your journey.
Absolutely. We're launching on Zendesk in early February, so the Zendesk marketplace, and so we look forward to talking again.
That's great. Well, good luck with the launch.
Thank you so much, Mona. Have a great day.